OG. Alright, I wanted to come on here and talk about why I am so confident with the game UFL and why I am fully on board and have totally put down EA Sports' EAFC, obviously formerly FIFA, right? So I want to start with the fact that I'm older, right? Hence the OG in my PSN name. And I've been playing FIFA pretty much all my life. Again, now EAFC, you get the game I'm talking about. But I wanted to, for some of you younger guys, go into the fact that for many years, EA Sports did a great job. And they didn't have a competitor, really ever, but they always did a great job. And then somewhere along the line, who knows right where it started, but they started going down a bad path. Right? This is after the release of Ultimate Team, which very well may be the prime reason that they started going in the wrong direction once they started bringing in all the money. Who knows? There's a ton of theories out there. There could be a mix of reasons. But the bottom line is, for many of you who watch football gaming content, you already know the state of EAFC and EA Sports, they're dealing with EAFC is in probably the worst, not probably, is in the worst place it's been in ever, without a doubt. So here comes UFL. And for many, it wasn't necessarily the answer to their problems because we remember way back in the mid 2000s for us older players when Konami first had their big PES moments. And for a few years, the game was great, and they were hot on the heels of EA Sports and FIFA. But then it was the best way I could describe it. It was like a second place runner that gives it everything they got, and they get so close to the first place guy, and then the first place guy feels them hot on their trail, and they just kick it into the next gear, and the second place guy has no prayer. And that's kind of what it is. Konami, once they got close in those few iterations of their game in the mid 2000s, like I think I could be wrong, but I think it was like 06, 07, 08. After they got close then, and then EA Sports, just took off from them. And they've never even came close again to competing. Even with this rebranded eFootball, not even close. eFootball has their cult fans, and that's great. I'm not trying to knock another game. For the people who enjoy playing that, that's awesome. Good for you. For me and for many others, though, it just wasn't good enough to get us away from playing EAFC. So we stuck with EA Sports. And UFL comes and, you can't blame people for thinking it's just another Konami eFootball situation. It's not going to be able to beat EAFC. But then, here comes the early release. I want to give it a go. At the very least, give it a shot. Because I liked what I was seeing after the beta. Because the beta didn't get very good reviews, right? But then you start seeing some of these fixes, hearing from some of these content creators, and you had to decide if you trusted what they were saying or if you thought, well, they're getting paid to say that, maybe. They're supporting the game, they're getting these trips for free. You got to take what they say with a grain of salt. So at the very least, turn on the game and try it for yourself is where I was at. And I couldn't have been happier when I did. All right? Right off the bat, you notice the passing and the spacing to allow for the passing was brilliant. That was the very first thing I noticed, and it's one of the most important things that EAFC and EA Sports has failed to fix. And maybe they can't. Maybe it is a coding issue. Many think that they've just built on an old code for years and years, and now many of these issues they can't fix. Whether that's true or not, who knows? The bottom line is the spacing in the passing in UFL is incredible, and it immediately makes it not only more fun to play than EAFC, but it immediately creates an actual skill gap, which is what competitors in football games and competitors in any sports game want. You want a skill gap to where you can work on the game and get better, and then when you play other players online or your friends or wherever, something that you're good at in the game can actually reward you in the game. So, for example, in EAFC, you're rewarded for not selecting your defenders. You're rewarded for letting your AI win the ball, for letting how clustered the players are allow you to win the ball because your opponent has nowhere to go. Hence why so many glitches are being abused in EA Sports EAFC, and so many mechanics are being abused because you can't even just simply pass or find holes to dribble through. So it leads you to that route, right? Whereas in UFL, immediately, you can create all these awesome passing sequences. There's all these great passing angles to try to get through. And then on defense, you have to try to move your defenders to block those passing lanes. You have to be ready to manually defend if you want to prevent a player from running through on goal, right? It creates a skill gap, and it makes it fun. It creates a football gaming experience while also makes it exciting because spacing also means end-to-end action. You don't have the ball bouncing around back and forth in the midfield because no one can get through on goal. No one wants to play that. And then the only way you get through on goal is if you abuse some kind of one-time power shot from 50 yards out, or a finesse shot from that right angle, or Trivelo from that right angle. And don't get me wrong, I know that finesse shots for certain players are pretty OP, if not broken, in UFL. But there's also the ability to defend those, and the ability to attack in other ways. Whereas in EA Sports, sometimes it feels like the only way you can play is if you abuse certain mechanics, right? So I talked about how important the spacing and the passing, which UFL did brilliant with, and which is immediately what stuck out to me in the game. The next thing was the development in their interaction with the players of their game, and not only that, but their responses and how quickly they fix some of the issues, right? So they spent years developing the game, but in any kind of video game, especially a competitive video game, players want to win. So they're going to find things that development didn't see. There's going to be certain kinks in the game still that players find. And what's important isn't so much that those kinks are there or those mechanics that can be abused are there, but it's how the development fixes them and how quickly they fix them. And I can give you a few examples right off the bat. The rebounds, you know, you would take a shot and the goalie would immediately push it to your striker every time. It was almost like you didn't mind as long as you got a shot, you were going to get a goal if you shot it hard enough for a rebound because it went right to the other striker. He would tap it in. That got complained about, that got addressed, and boom, it's gone. No longer is that there. The kickoff glitch, which in EAFC not only lasts and lasts, but even after they might fix it, it always seems to come back. UFL, it became an issue. Boom, they address it. Boom, they fix it. It's gone. Totally gone. And this is within weeks of the release of their game. This isn't like you had to suffer through it all the way through until a big patch came. It wasn't you heard crickets, nothing from EA Sports, and always wondered if a certain glitch or mechanic that was being abused was ever going to be fixed. And maybe they would eventually address it, maybe they wouldn't. With UFL, you've seen right off the bat that many of these issues were being addressed. You've seen the production and the development team actually interacting with the players. And this is right off the bat. So that makes you optimistic because if and when these issues come up, knowing that they're going to be addressed promptly and knowing that you can get back to enjoying the good parts of the game promptly, that's promising. So next you would go to the system that UFL chose to utilize, as well as the customization. Because if you're like me, you love that part of it. It adds an aspect off the field, right? And their partnership with Adidas and that customization they've already added, including the unique releases only to UFL. I mean, it's been awesome. Go through the Adidas customization stuff. I put some of it in this video, and tell me that's not some very cool stuff. And they even have cleats and colorways and stuff and kits that you can't even see in real life. That is awesome. They're only going to build on that. You get into the system they have. This game is literally built for people who love RTGs. You get a team, and you can literally take the team of players you get at the start and simply build them up and watch them improve. and add certain skills to them and take the players in the direction you want to take them in with the skills and just see how far you can get them. I mean, that's fantastic. For those players who want to grind the game but then buy better players, they have that for you too. Obviously, you can purchase CP, which many people don't like, but you have to remember there's still the RP. If you do not have RP, which is essentially like a salary cap, it doesn't matter if you have 100 billion CP, the in-game currency. You can't just go out buy any player you want because you have to have the RP to do so. So you have to grind the game with the players you have to get enough RP to even buy the players, no matter how much CP. So no matter how much money you want to spend, they have that barrier. And this is right off the bat. Even if it's not a perfect system, it's a very good initial system to build off of. The customization, even if you're not don't think it's perfect, which I think that's another A plus by them. But even if you don't think it's perfect, it's something to build on, right? Even if you weren't the biggest fan of, let's say, the Team Pass, I thought they did a very good job for their initial release. They just had their first, what is similar to EAFC Weekend League, the Showdown. Yes, the competition wasn't the greatest at all, I agree. In fact, it was probably way too easy for the higher ended teams and way too difficult for those who have lower rated teams that might have been getting matched over and over with tougher teams. I get that. But you just look at the overall concept of the mode, it's brilliant. I love the idea that you essentially get multiple chances at the top rewards, right? And once you reach a certain amount of losses, you're out. But you still get multiple chances. I love that idea. I love the setup. If they come up with better rewards and a few fixes here and there, I think the foundation of the mode is brilliant, right? There are all these things to be excited about, but people have to remember this is the initial iteration of the game. It is a free to play game. $15 for early access, right? 7 days later, if you waited, a free game. That's incredible. Then they have the in game transactions, which, again, with the RP, I don't think it's a bad thing that you can go buy CP, right? Especially considering it's free to play, and especially considering they at least have that barrier to prevent any players with a lot of funds from just getting every single top player right off the bat. And it doesn't even mean that they're perfect, and they don't say they're perfect, but it means that all of these things that are already here, how could you not be excited about this game, right? So, the biggest reason I wanted to release this is because I feel like a lot of reviews are missing the mark. They'll either turn the game on and the graphics won't please them compared to EAFC, or they'll see a certain glitch or mechanic, or notice there's not as many animations to make the game look as real or as fluid as EAFC. So, boom, they immediately turn it off. I strongly encourage you to remember where this game's at, to look at how responsive the development team is and how good they are at fixing things and how promptly they fix them. And just not only give the game a shot, but then to think from the perspective of where can this game go from here? And how much promise does this game have, right? And once you look at it from that perspective, I feel like you have no choice but at the very least keep up with the game. I'm not saying you have to drop EAFC or other football, EA football if you play eFootball. I'm just saying give UFL a try. Think from a different perspective if you're more on the negative side of things. If you're more on the positive side of things like me, then you can't help but to be excited. So just want to talk about that. Who knows if anybody will even watch this, but if somebody or anybody does and you made it this far, I truly appreciate you, and I will see you next time. Have a good day.